pre-calculus, let's talk about solving equations algebraically. Okay, so first of all, let's go ahead and write down here that we solve things that are equations. Okay, we can't solve expressions. You notice the last couple days we've been factoring. Okay, those did not have something. Equations have equal signs. Equal equations. If it has an equal sign, then we can go ahead and solve it. Okay, so to solve algebraically, that means that we find the value of the variable. We find the value of the variable. So that means our answer is going to be x equals. That's only if you have an equal sign in the problem. If it's just factor this expression, we can't do it. Okay, so let's take a look at this first example right here. To solve this equation, okay, I noticed that it says 3 times the quantity x minus 2 equals 5 times the quantity. To solve this, a good technique would be to distribute. Okay, if you were thinking that, then you're on the right track. We're going to distribute the 3, we're going to distribute the 5. Okay, so then we'll have just some terms here. We have 3x minus 6 equals 5x minus 5. All right, now I'm noticing that there's x's on both sides of the equal sign. We have to get them on one side. We have to get them together. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. And that's going to eliminate the x's on the left, leaving me with 2 x's on the right. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 5 to both sides. And that eliminates the constant on the right, and we only have -1 on the left. Okay. Now you have to look at the x. We're trying to isolate x. X is being multiplied by 2, so I'll do the inverse, which means to divide both sides by 2. And x is equal to -1/2. Okay, so that is solved. That is the value. If I plug it back into the equation, the left side will equal the value of the right side. Okay, now I'm going to show you another technique. Some people solve their equations like this, and this is totally fine. This is a real fast and an easy way to do it. So we're still going to get the x's on the same side. I'm still going to put all the x's on the right, but some people just say, I'm just going to switch sides. If you switch sides, you have to switch signs. So the positive 3x becomes a negative 3x, but he's near the plus 5x. Similarly, I'm going to take this constant, -5, and I'm going to switch him to the left side, so all my numbers are on the left. So I have -6, but when a -5 switches sides, it switches signs. And now he's a positive. That's essentially the same thing here, but instead of writing it twice, you swing it over and you write it once. This is a perfectly fine way of solving equations. When you divide by 2, you get the same answer. Okay? When you solve an equation, everybody's answers are going to match. We're all going to get the same value of x, but our techniques might be different. Okay, let's look at the next kind of problem you might have to solve. Okay, can you solve something that has a squared power in it? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so when you have an equation with x squared, what that means is there's going to be 2 answers. When you have a single power of x, there's going to be 1 answer, but we're going to get 2 x equals. Okay, and the technique for this kind of problem would be to solve by factoring. Oh, you love it. I'm so glad we got good at factoring last week. Okay, so we have to make sure that we have our 0. Okay, so we must set the equation equal to 0, which we already have. Okay, so that's step 1. All right, step 2, we're going to factor. This is x squared, so it's going to factor into x and x. Now I have to say right here, okay, if you don't write equals 0 and you eliminate that, You've turned the equation into an expression, and that's wrong. You will lose points for that. Equations have to stay equations. You never lose the equal sign and then magically bring it back. What happens is people start slopping equal signs and all sorts of problems that don't have them, and that's wrong. Do not forget to write the equal sign. Okay, 28, it's probably 7 times 4. And to add to a negative 3, I'm going to put the negative on the 7 and the positive on the 4. Okay, now I've factored, but I haven't solved by factoring just yet. Okay, so after step 2 comes step 3, and we're going to use something called the zero product property. Okay, please write down these notes so you have the official names of things. If something times something is 0, then either this thing right here, okay, either the x minus 7 equals 0, or this thing, this factor right here, equals 0. Okay, so now we've said something times something is 0, and we've said, well, one of them must be a 0, right? If we have here number times number is 0, do you guys know what number I'm thinking of? No, I'm thinking of 4. Okay, do you know what number this is? Oh, it's got to be 0, right? To make it 0. Okay, one of them has to be 0, either this guy, or both. Okay, now you have to officially solve this. So here, x is going to equal 7, or x is going to equal negative 4. Okay, using the zero product property. Okay, do not forget the 0. Should I write that like in a red pen right here? Make sure you include the equals 0. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Solve algebraically. I notice this problem has an x cubed. Can we solve something with 3 x's? Yes. Okay, so that right there indicates that we're going to get 3 answers. Wow, x cubed means x equals x equals x equals. Okay, how are we going to solve this? We're going to solve by factoring again. Okay, but what kind of factoring? When there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things. With grouping. Make sure you write these notes down. Okay, I love asking students questions about what it's called. All right, I'm going to look at the first 2 like a group and the second 2 like a group. So from the first 2, let's take out x squared, leaving us with x plus 2. For the second 2, if it starts with a negative, we're going to take out a negative. And then that leaves us with x plus 2. Okay, is that good so far? No, that's terrible. Guess what? We have to write equals 0. I think we need to write that down again, okay? Don't forget the equals 0. The reason I'm saying that is because I usually end up writing this, okay, on every person's test, along with -1. Okay, I see duplicates, so we're looking good. My first set of parentheses is x squared minus 9. The second set is for the duplicates, and that equals 0. Okay, how does that factoring look? Wait, we're not done. You're right, we have to factor further. X squared has to split up until he's linear. So we have x plus 3, x minus 3, and we still have x plus 2. Notice I didn't lose any part of this equation the entire time. He started off as x cubed. In this line, he was an x cubed. Here he's x cubed. Here he's x cubed. There's always 3 x's. Okay, so my final answer. X is going to equal positive 3. X is going to equal negative 3. X is going to equal negative 2. Okay, if you'd like, you can combine these answers into one if you want to say plus or minus 3 or negative 2. You certainly don't have to do that, but you can, and it's fast. Okay, and there are 3 solutions. Okay, so these are all the type of solving techniques you've learned in your past. Let's go to the next page. Oh. Who loves solving fractions? Okay, I don't. Okay, so what we're going to do is eliminate the fraction. Okay, we're going to eliminate the fraction. Here's the steps. Okay, so the first step to eliminating all these fractions is you multiply all the terms. Multiply all the terms by the common denominator. Okay, so I'm looking at the denominators, and there's 3, 2, and a 1. So the common denominator between 3, 2, and 1 is 6. I'm going to multiply all the terms by 6. Okay, so the term on the right, he gets multiplied by 6. The first term right here, he gets multiplied by 6. And don't forget about this middle term right here. This one also gets multiplied by 6. I multiply the left side of the equation by 6 and the right side by 6. Okay, I need you to put parentheses like that and showing me how everything is getting, especially the right. Okay, don't forget about that one. Okay, now the second step, sometimes this is the step people forget to do and they make the problem harder. Okay, I'm not going to multiply. What? I'm going to cancel. I'm going to cancel. Wait a minute. 6 and 3. Can those cancel? Yes, 6 divides by 3 makes a 2. Does 6 divide by 2? Absolutely. Wow. We're getting pretty lucky here. Everything's canceling. Is that always going to happen? Well, if you picked the right common denominator, it better happen. Okay? Yes, it should definitely always cancel like that because you should have picked the common denominator. Okay, now step 3 is to distribute. Now we're going to go ahead and distribute in smaller numbers, not big numbers. Okay, we have no more denominators. So 2 is going to get distributed into, say, 2x plus 14. 3, you get distributed in. That's going to be 3x minus 18. And that's going to equal negative 24. All right, now we just have a linear equation to solve. Okay, go ahead and solve that one. Okay, so step 4 is to solve, and survey says, I hope you got x equals negative 4. If not, go give it a try again. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. The square root of the quantity x plus 1 equals a 4. Okay, when you have a square root, the technique to undo square root is to square. We're going to square. Okay, we're going to square both sides. Both sides. Okay, you can't just square one side. What you do to the left side, you have to do to the right. So put parentheses around the left. Okay, and say squared. And that's going to eliminate the radical, but we're going to also have to square the right-hand side. Okay? So squaring the left-hand side, square and square root cancel. 4 squared is 16, and x equals 15. Okay, so when you have a square root, you square it. How do you think we would solve a cubed root? Yeah, we would cube both sides. Okay, next one. Let's solve this algebraically. Okay, I'm going to write a hint right here. Okay, when you see this, which is quantity squared, okay, what I want you to do is write 2 quantities. I want you to write two quantities out, x minus 1 times x minus 1. Okay, I know that seems silly, but that one little bit of work right there, and then students usually tell me, oh, I know what to do now. Okay, now it's more obvious they have to multiply this out. Okay, and we're going to FOIL. So what do the firsts make? X squared. Let's see how good you are. What do the outers and the inners make? Negative 2x. And the lasts, positive 1. Over here, let's do it again. We have x squared for the firsts. The outers and inners are going to be plus x. And the lasts, minus 6. Okay, and now it's time to move everything over to one side. Okay, so this problem is getting very complex, huh? Minus x squared to the right, minus x squared to the left. What's happening there? It canceled on the right and it canceled on the left. So I thought I was going to get two solutions, but it seems like we're only going to get one solution. All right, let's talk about the x's. Let's subtract x from the right, and I will subtract x from the left. That leaves us with negative 3x. Now let's go ahead and subtract 1 from the left. Put all the constants on the right. That's negative 7. We'll divide both sides by negative 3, and x is 7/3. Please just leave it like a fraction. Okay, we're not going to make this be a mixed number, and we're not going to make it be a decimal that I chop off. 7/3 is perfect. We're just going to leave it like that. Okay. All right, now I know it seems weird, but this last problem here is not an equation. Okay, this is a factoring problem. This is the last type of factoring that we never talked about. Okay, so we need to write the title here. This is a difference. This is a difference. Okay, or you could do a sum if you want of cubes. It's the last type of factoring that we haven't covered. Okay, I saved this one until you got good at all the other ones. Okay, so is this a difference? Yes, because I see a minus sign. Now, is it a cubic? So this is x cubed, and this is minus 3 cubed. Okay, so can this get factored? Yes. Okay, and here's how it factors. There's a little guy, and there's a big guy. Okay, and so the little one looks like the problem. That's usually how I remember it. The little one looks like the problem. Okay, and then there's this big guy over here. Okay, so in the little parentheses, the first factor is x minus 3. The cubed roots of those two numbers, x minus 3. Okay, now for the big guy. He's going to get 2 of everything. Okay, so let's take our x. What's x times x? X squared. Does that multiply to make x cubed? Yes, we're in business. Okay, let's go to the end. He needs 2. Let's take 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Oh, I get it. We took 3 3's. We put 1 at the end here. I put the other 2 on the end there. Okay, the big guy gets doubles of everything. Now, what about the middle? I can't take 2 x's. And I'm not going to take 2 3's. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll take 1 of each. 3 times x. That's 3x. Okay, but I haven't put any signs in. Okay, and to do the signs, you have to sop it up. Sop it up. S stands for same. Okay, So the first sign right here, that's the same as the problem. The next sign is the opposite. The opposite. Okay, so don't write another minus sign. Write a plus sign. And then P stands for positive or plus. Okay, you gotta sop it up. So the positive sign always goes at the end. Really? It's always plus at the end? You got it. Yeah, you got it. So this is a difference of cubes. Let's add one more problem over here. And let's factor a sum of cubes just for practice. 8x cubed plus 125. Okay, so first of all, are these cubes? Yes, they are, okay? 8 comes from 2 times 2 times 2. So this is 2, and this is 1x. So that's the quantity 2x getting cubed, okay? Plus sign, is this a cubic? Yes, this is 5 cubed. Okay, so we do have a sum of cubes. The rules are the same for sum and difference, okay? So please put some parentheses for a little guy and for a big guy. Okay, the little guy is going to look just like these factors. So you write 2x plus 5. Okay, now let's talk about the firsts. You take the first term, because there's quantity 3 of them. I took one quantity here. I need to put the other 2 right there. 2x times 2x, and that's 4x squared. How about the end? Let's take 5 times 5, and that would make 25. Okay, now how do you get the middle? You don't take 2 of the firsts, you don't take 2 of the last. You take 1 of each. 2 times 5 is going to be 10x. Okay, people, it's time to sop it up. Sop it up. This sign is a plus, the same as the problem. The next sign is the opposite. Don't write plus, write a minus. And the last one is going to be a positive sign. And that is how you factor a sum of cubes. Okay, great job taking notes today.